Hello everyone, my name is Caleb from Blush and Pose Photography, and in this video I'm going to show you how to take photos of the first dance that look like this. Now there's a number of things that you have to consider when photographing the first dance. The first thing you need to realize is that it's actually very dark. So usually the lights are dimmed when you are photographing the first dance. Not only that, but you have the DJ who puts his colored lights on, which is spraying the bride and groom with all sorts of wonderful colors which don't look good in your photos. Also, the autofocus system struggles in the dark. Now, my solution to these problems are as follows. Now, I use a Canon 6D Mark II because the autofocus is very good. And this is important. You don't want to use a cheap crop sensor camera unless it's an 80D or a 7D. Those ones are okay because they have a similar autofocus system to the full frame cameras such as the Canon 6D Mark II. Secondly, you want a lens with a fast aperture. So either a 50mm 1.8 or a 35mm 1.8 or 1.4. And sometimes I use a 24-70 2.8 lens, and that is also very useful. It's versatile, so I can zoom in and out as I take my photos. In addition, you want a good flash. It's important that you have a good flash that has TTL and it has the infrared auto assist beam so that you can take sharp photos as you do your photography. Now, my flash is a Canon 600EX2 RT, and it's a very good flash. With the batteries, it can fire off many times, so you can get good a range of photos of the first dance. That's the gear that I would use in my photography of the first dance. When you approach the dance floor, it's important to just go up to the DJ and very politely and kindly ask him to turn his colored lights off. Because if they don't get switched off, they will ruin your photo and you'll get images that look like this. Now, be very polite because he might be offended, because he might love his colored lights, and just explain to him that they will ruin the shot of the first dance if they're not turned off. And just say, look, they look great and they create great atmosphere for the rest of the party, but just for the first dance, ask him politely to turn those colored lights off because they will ruin your photos. The second thing you need to consider is, where are you going to be positioning yourself? It's important to note that the background behind the bride and groom will make or break your photo. Now, if there's nothing attractive in the background at all and there's just the DJ there, the best thing is to actually move over to the side of the DJ and have the people, the guests surrounding the dance floor as your background. That often looks really, really nice, and it also gives you a depth of field into the rest of the venue where the reception is being held. And so sometimes the lights can create great atmospheric look in your photos. So that's how I would position myself. I would look for a great background. If there's nothing fantastic, use the people as your background. That's often what looks good, and it also means that people aren't going to be coming in front of you as you're trying to take your shot of the first dance. The next issue you're going to have is the fact that the venue is very dimly lit, and I've found that even with the auto assist beam, the autofocus system has struggled to get nice, sharp photos. Now, there is a number of ways you can get around this. You can use a strobe, which has a modeling light that you can set up and point the modeling light down towards the bride and groom. Or you can hold a little LED flashlight in your hand that you can hold up as you take photos. Or you can just set up a stand with a nice LED panel that faces onto the bride and groom, sufficiently lighting them up so that your autofocus system can take great, sharp photos. I would suggest the last one as the best way to get nice, sharp photos. Now, in terms of the flash, where you're pointing your flash, I would point it at the roof, especially if you've got a white roof or a white wall. Point it to the roof or to the wall. Now, some people say that this will flood the room with light and you'll lose the ambience. However, there is a trick around that. What you do is you put your ISO up to about 2000 to 3000, somewhere in between there, and that will allow a lot of ambient light in. Also, if you have a 1.8 or a 2.8, that will also allow a lot of ambient light in, and so therefore you're combining the flash with the ambient light so that your subject is nicely lit and the background and the surrounding lighting in the venue is still being picked up by the camera, and you'll get wonderful photos that look like this. If your venue has black walls and a black roof and you've got nothing to bounce your flash off of, I would suggest just putting some sort of diffuser on the top of your flash, and that will be sufficient to light up your subject and to get a great shot. So long as you've got some LED light of some kind lighting up your subject so that the autofocus system can take a great sharp photo. So those are my tips on how to photograph the first dance. Now, if this video has helped you, then you can also visit our website at blushandposephotography.co.uk, where you can get more tips in the blog section of our website on how to do photography. In addition, you can subscribe to this channel, like this video, and hopefully we see you in the comments, if not on our next video.